thank you for this inspiring day. I will now present you a new woman, but a real new woman. And I am very used to work with literary texts or writers, or how writers create themselves through literary texts. But this is my first expedition into history, because Minni Kurs was not a writer. She wrote a lot, but she was not a writer. And maybe a comment about my title. When I had sent my abstract away, I instantly thought that I should have written a new woman, Minni Kurs. But then I did not want to change it, because otherwise I wouldn't have to explain why I thought first so. I think it's pretty little, but I hope you can see it. First of all, I have to clarify a bit these concepts and explain why I have framed my presentation in terms of these concepts. In Estonia, Minni Kurs is, if you Google Minni Kurs, you will get the answer that she was a suffragette. Well, she lived in London, but she was not, I can tell you. But still she had relationships with this movement. Women's suffrage is the right of women to vote in elections. And in Britain in 1872, the fight for women's suffrage became a national movement with the formation of a national society for women's suffrage, and later the more influential National Union of Women's Suffrage Societies. And they were called the suffragists, and the movement included both women and men. If we now think about Minni Kurs, she stood for even wider right for vote, as we are talking about the Russian Empire and this 1905 context. And suffragette was a member of an activist women's organization in the early 20th century, who under the banner Votes for Women fought for rights to vote in public elections. And it is mostly meant the members of the British Women's Social and Political Union, a women-only movement founded in 1903 by Emmeline Pankhurst, which engaged in direct action and civil disobedience. And in 1906, a reporter writing in a newspaper called Daily Mail coined the term suffragette for this movement in order to belittle the women advocating women's suffrage. But the militants embraced the new name, even adopting it for use as the title of a newspaper published by the organization. And maybe also some time frames on women's right to vote. In the Russian Grand Duchy of Finland, women gained equal suffrage with both the right to vote and to stand as candidates already in 1906. In the Russian Empire, in Estonia and Latvia, they gained the right to vote in 1917, decided by the Russian Provisional Government, which was established as a result of the February Revolution. And was British women, the Representation of a People Act 1918 saw British women over 30 gain the vote. So it took for them even more time to get it for younger women. And if I try to match Minni Kurs with these concepts, she was a socialist. And socialists and social democrats were basically standing up for women's right to vote at the time. And this demand was, for example, above the ones of easing the working conditions for working class at the International Socialist Congress in Amsterdam in 1904, which Minni Kurs also visited. I would say that she always stood up for social justice, human rights, and voting was also one of the key words of the 1905 revolution. But how she stood up for rights, it made easier for her British friends to understand, or I would say to contextualize her deeds here in the Russian Empire. And the new woman, as you heard, it was a feminist ideal that emerged in the late 19th century and had a profound influence well into the 20th century. And the term can be also interpreted as to describe a new breed of independent and educated women. And it was a real as well as a cultural phenomenon in society. The new woman was a feminist and a social reformer, and Minni Kurs has often been referred to as a new woman in the previous studies. And I think actually the definition fits her very well. For her, an education that would ensure independence was kind of crucial. She addressed rights for women, and she later dedicated her life to standing up for women through various activities. I wanted to show you a letter. Her partner wrote to her to London, and then her answer, but you can read it yourself because I will read it in Estonian. 3. märtsil 1903 Tartus. Ma tahan sulle, kallis Minni, kirja just nii saata, nagu ma ta umbes saatnud oleksin enne sinu viimseid kirju. Sellepärast jätan selle, mis juba kirjutatud on seisma. Ainult keele poolest teen vahe. Täna kirjutan eesti keeli. Kui sa ka igast sõnast ehk aru ei saa, mõttest ikka saad. Ja veel, kui see minu kiri sind pahandab, ei ole minu süü. Sa ju ise käskesid kirjutada. 4. aprillil 1903 Londonis. Armas Louis, ma kirjutan sulle eesti keeli. Siis on mul kergem oma üksi olemise tundmust ja seda palavat lapsikut igatsust sinu järele varjata. Kirjutama pead nüüd veel kord ja õige pika kirja. Sa ei tea, missuguse kärsitusega ma iga 5 minuti pärast postkasti juurde jooksen. Ei kirjast jälgegi. Armas Louis, kirjuta kohe, mul oleks sulle väga palju ütelda. Ma kirjutan sulle kohe vastuse. Sa ei tohi kurb olla, kõik mõrudus peab kaduma. This passage is referred to a moment when they start writing to each other in Estonian. And the man proposes this because they had often different views also in politics. And LU Olesk said that he's a nationalist, socialist, and Minni Kurs answered that she's just a socialist. But when they switched to Estonian, before that they write in German. And even I think Louis here thinks that maybe Minni does not understand all what he writes in Estonian. The author of the first passage, LU Olesk, had recently graduated from the University of Tartu as a lawyer, or Universiteet Tartu. And he was just starting his practice. He was also active in journalism and interested in politics. He had been defined as a radical socialist as well. In 1905-1906, he tried to publish the newspaper Vaba Sõna, Free Word. It was critical of the Tsarist regime, for example, reporting about the suppression of the 1905 revolution, shootings, hangings, burning of farms, imprisonment and beating, as well as beating of women. And of course, censorship banned the newspaper, only a sample issue has been released. He and Minni Kurs were pen friends for many years, and in the course of correspondence, he tries to convince Minni always to marry him. He did not succeed in that, but they moved in together. Like a civil marriage was not possible then in Russian Empire, but Minni Kurs did not want to be officially under anyone's guardianship. So he wanted to be independent also in the marriage. It was a very brave step in the petty bourgeois society of Tartu. You can imagine what people have written in their memoirs. Even Aino Kallas had something to say, although she kind of canalized it into a sentence that she has also cut off her hair. So Minni Kurs had short hair too. And this correspondence laid the foundations for a lifetime of unwavering support for each other, despite some differing views. They belonged to different political parties, for example. I did not find any photo of Louis Olesk as a young man, only this fraternity picture. I don't know actually who is him there. And in this picture, they are already living together, but Louis Olesk was sentenced to exile and he was sent to Russia, and Minni Kurs visited him twice. So this is an exile photo. Louis Olesk was also a minister of Estonian in the Estonian Republic and several times. Now, the most important person, Minni Kurs-Olesk. This is before they met, and this is when she came back from London. She has this hat, which was in Tartu called the hat of emancipation. And it's before she had cut her hair. About her life, I would have to explain. She was one of the founders of Estonian women's rights movements, the social democratic movement and social welfare. And after the establishment of the independent Republic of Estonia, she was a member of Estonian's Constituent Assembly, and she helped to work out Estonia's constitution. She was active in trade union activity and fostering opportunities for vocational education, and she was active in all kinds of women's organizations in Estonia. And she also, I wouldn't say she worked as a journalist, but she was for a short time an editor, and she was one of the first translators able to translate literature from English to Estonian, but she also translated from German. And why she did it actually, she started it when Louis Olesk was exiled, so she had to earn money for her and the little children. She was a daughter of a single mother running a little business. The father had left the family when the girl was a baby. She got an excellent education, girls' gymnasium, teacher's seminar. But when she had this diploma, her choice to work was not very wide. And she couldn't go to the university. Only the University of Helsinki was accepting women, but I think she did not have simply money. And she left for Chisinau, where she met the first socialists actually. Then she went to work in Turgu, where she got to know the very strong Finnish feminist movement. And in Finland, she established the contacts to go to study in London. And she has made, I would say, practical choices. She learned in London also many practical things. She didn't go only to the university, but she was also a student of political studies in the London School of Economics and Political Science. And in 1905, she came back. They started this partnership, and their 4 daughters are born from that. Yes. I have some time, no? 5 minutes. Because I will skip some things. I will show you some diplomas from England. She has, for example, learned how to make cheddar cheese. And this is from the archives of this LCE, the Women's Library. And her letters, very hard to read, actually. And now, in 1906, when she was in Tartu, someone in England heard that she has been imprisoned because of involvement in this 1905 revolution. And I'm very glad to show it here because it's from the archives in Riga. There is a secret police file about Minni Kurs. A lady in waiting of the imperial court has inquired the Governor General of Estonia and Kurland and Latvia if Minni Kurs has been imprisoned. And the reason why she wrote it, an English journalist had written her asking this. And you can see it's a very, like, how can I say, astonished letter. Like, do you beat here pregnant women? The author of this letter was a very well-known journalist who has had already 3 times published interviews with the Russian Tsar. He was very much interested in Russia. His name is William Thomas Stead. He's like the father of investigative journalism. And I think this was maybe the thing which helped Minni Kurs, who was actually not imprisoned, but on the verge of that, to stay out of trouble. And why Stead decided to write this letter, maybe although he was anyway interested in the history of Russia, it was very easy for him to put this kind of actions Minni Kurs did in Tartu into the context of this suffragette movement, because it was like in the same autumn when the militant suffragettes started their militant actions, and Minni Kurs did something pretty similar here in Tartu. I don't know what exactly did she do, but I will keep looking through the archives. And these other Estonian prisoners released in Riga after 1905 events, many of them were imprisoned again, but you can see there are also young girls. And maybe one thing which Minni Kurs achieved, all her 4 daughters went to the university. Only one did not graduate because she got married and got little kids, but the other 3 all graduated from different faculties. And I found also one archive document that they have all signed a petition to the World Conference of Lawyers in 1930 about asking that in the world the getting married does not change nationality, because in many countries women who got married lost many of their rights. So kind of life work of Minni Kurs through the daughters. But thank you.